What's up, Space Pirates? This is your Admiral, the Dread Pirate Dr. Disaster, and in this era, where relations between gamers and the AAA game developers is at an all-time low, it seems very foolish to damage that relationship even further.
Are you stupid or something?
Considering the situation that the gaming industry is in these days, Square Enix must be pretty damn stupid to want to do this here. They've announced a new customer harassment policy whereby they can ban people from buying their products or playing games that they've already purchased if they interact with a Square employee in a so-called harmful way.
You guys are hella stupid!
So, if you were to get into a spat with a community manager for Square Enix, you might get the axe. And this is the consequence of extreme arrogance, a belief that they are too big to fail, which is a seriously foolish stance given the crazy amount of layoffs and flops that have been taking place all across the gaming industry. We're going to take a look at these guidelines that Square Enix threw out there for gamers to follow, but basically, if you are too critical of the company, if you ask for too much change in a game, then you're banned.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Imagine that a content creator that you watch is critical of a title that Square puts out and says that Square Enix should fix everything. Now imagine Square Enix gets word of this and issues a ban on that player so they can't play any of their games any longer. Are you likely to shrug your shoulders and move on with your life and keep on buying Square Enix products? Or are you likely to boycott the hell out of these guys? It's just amazing to me that somebody out there in this company thought that this policy would be a good idea. It's like they just don't understand gamers at all.
Having somebody making wild decisions that make no sense, that benefits nobody.
Oh, yes, right.
Is he listening to us? I can't tell.
He's listening. He's not understanding.
Yeah, he doesn't even, get us, man. We're talking about you.
Alright, so quick disclaimer before we dive into this topic concerning Square Enix and their policies meant to protect their employees. Obviously, some of these actions that they are seeking to prevent are in fact very bad. Things like threatening or engaging in violence. Nobody ever needs to be threatened or stalked or anything like that, but of course, that stuff was always illegal. So once again, I struggle to imagine a world where this policy of theirs was necessary. It feels like a tool to shield themselves from criticism. Because the thing is, I want you to keep in mind that at one point, Square Enix was prominently featured on the client list of Sweet Baby Inc. This means that people who are overly critical of a company like Sweet Baby that Square may be partnered with, these rules would likely apply to them as well, meaning that if you are overly critical of these consultancy groups whose sole purpose seems to be adding diversity into video games, then they claim the right to remove your ability to play Square Enix games. But let's read this article here from Bounding Into Comics so I can show you what I mean. Square Enix adopts new customer harassment policy. Final Fantasy Studio can now deny products and services to players whose interaction with an employee exceeds socially acceptable behavior or is harmful. Now, that is just a series of very nebulous terms. Exceeding socially acceptable behavior or being harmful. It's impossible to trust a company like this to properly define what is socially unacceptable or harmful. But let's read the article. Down here it says, Square Enix believes that the feedback, comments, and requests received from our customers are essential to the advancement of our group's products and services. Therefore, we are committed to strive to apply your voice in improving our products and services. Explain the developer of their decision to implement said policy. At the same time, there are instances where certain customers take actions directly or through our support centers or towards our group executives, employees, partners who are involved in the creation and distribution of our group products and services that constitute customer harassment, such as denial of personality, violence, defamation, intimidation, advance notice of wrongdoing, advance notice of obstruction of business, harassment. Such actions do not only prevent our employees and partners from engaging in their work with a sense of security, but also causes disruptions to other customers, they asserted. Square Enix will not tolerate harassment and will take action as necessary. To this end, the actual policy holds that, should the Kingdom Hearts series developer determine that an individual has engaged in an action against one of our employees or partners that exceeds socially acceptable behavior or is harmful, they reserve our right to cease providing support services or to refrain from providing our group's products and services. But here is the list of unacceptable behavior according to Square, which is where the problems come in. They have two categories: harassment and undue demand. Pretty much everything under harassment is fine to ban people for, or at least a good chunk of it is. I mean, these are the sort of behaviors that were already going to be frowned against from a legal perspective, but some of it is a bit nebulous. The list leads off with acts of violence, and of course, yes, if someone is violent, their ass needs to be punished. The next item: abusive language, intimidation, coercion, duress, excessive pursuit, or reprimand. This is too nebulous. If I call a sweet baby employee a bozo or something, is that considered abusive language? Same thing with the next line, where they talk about personal attacks. Once again, if I say that one of their employees or affiliates is acting like an idiot, am I going to be banned? Who knows? It's too nebulous. The next line, talking about persistent inquiries and repeated visits. And I mean, yeah, you never need to go where these people physically are. Keep the discussions online. And that applies to the next line as well, talking about trespassing. It's definitely not okay to trespass on Square property. And I actually agree with them banning people for that kind of jackassery. Unlawful restraint. Once again, this is a no-brainer. The law needs to be involved with something like that. Anyway, then they talk about discriminatory speech and conduct regarding race, ethnicity, religion, family origin, occupation, etc. That seems like it could be completely malleable depending on whatever they want it to be. If I criticize, for example, their DEI hiring policies, it seems to me they could ban me. Then there's infringement of privacy by taking pictures or making video recordings without consent, and then sexual harassment, stalking, repeated stalking behavior. Obviously, all of that is bad. But under that next heading, undue demand, this is where it all gets really fuzzy and looks really bad. Apparently, you can be banned for asking for unreasonable changes in a game. What the hell is an unreasonable change in a game? So if I look at the latest Final Fantasy release, and I insist that they drop their current combat system and go back to a turn-based system, I imagine that that could be construed as unreasonable. Could they ban me for that? Or in the next line there, they say that you can be banned for an unreasonable request for an apology. So if I say that Forspoken was an awful game and they need to apologize to gamers everywhere for that turd, especially the people they fleeced into buying it, then supposedly I could be banned. Those last two lines are kind of weird. Excessive requests for the provision of products and services exceeding socially accepted norms. People probably don't need to be asking for free stuff, but it seems weird that they could be banned for doing it. and then unreasonable and excessive demands for punishment of our employees. So let's say they put out a game where a character design is really bad, and I tweet out that the person who designed that character should lose their position. Does that mean that I need to be banned? As I said, the whole thing is nebulous as hell, and it just seems like a tool which can be abused to prevent customers from being able to voice their opinions. That is not a good precedent for the industry to make. Once again, keep in mind that these were clients of Sweet Baby Inc., listed prominently on Sweet Baby's website at one point. Before Sweet Baby took that list down from their site, Square Enix got themselves removed from that list, presumably because they asked to be taken down. This means they are quite cognizant of all the criticism being levied against Sweet Baby and their clients, and this makes their list of bad behaviors all the more eye-opening. And considering, once again, how bad the customer relations are in the industry, this seems like a really poor idea. They're turning themselves into a magnet for criticism right now, because this is making the rounds all over social media. I wonder how many people, ironically, are going to be banned in response to criticizing the company for making this list. But I'm going to leave it there. What do you make of all this? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching me, Hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.